Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm sharing a French packing guide. I recently went to France. I was in Paris and Aix-en-Provence for 10 days, and like always, I brought just a carry-on. So in today's video, I want to share that whole process with you. I'm going to go through my color palette. I love a color palette, and I think it's very important, especially when traveling. And then I'm also going to share the weather I was expecting, the activities that we did, and then ultimately all of the pieces that I brought and how all of that fits into a carry-on. So let's get started. The first thing I always do before starting to pack for a trip is research where I'm going. So I will consider my destination, and then I will try to do a lot of research on how people dress and really start to understand the dress code, kind of. I think every place has an unofficial dress code, and I personally really like to make an effort to kind of blend in a little bit. I think it makes for a more enjoyable trip. It ensures that you're not going to feel out of place if you do end up wanting to maybe stop into a restaurant impromptu and have a nice meal in the middle of the day and not have to worry about going back to your hotel room to change out of your sightseeing clothes and into something more appropriate. It's been beneficial for me. So in this instance, I had the benefit of having already been to Paris, so I was aware that people tend to dress a little bit more formally, very classic. And I also have lived in New York City, so I was aware that city dressing tends to be regular dressing, but a step up. The next thing I always do is jot down how many days I'll be gone. You can either do this in a notebook or on your phone, and I will leave space holders for every single day to later fill in the activities. So for this instance, I was gone for 10 days, and I knew that 2 of those, both the first and the last day, were going to be predominantly for travel. So I knew that those were going to be travel outfits. And then everything else I was able to fill in based on kind of what we had on our itinerary. So a lot of sightseeing, a lot of walking, a lot of eating, and a lot of just enjoying the beautiful scenery. So I knew I needed things that were semi-casual, appropriate for a city, and certainly appropriate for Paris, and then appropriate for the south of France, but also things that were very comfortable and could serve double duty. I really like to wear outfits that I can wear from morning all the way through to night, and if possible, I don't like to have to change before going to dinner. So once I know where I'm going, how long I'm going to be there, and what to expect as far as dress code and my activities, I'm able to move on to weather. So I like to look at the weather forecast all the time, no matter what, but especially when traveling. I like to lock it in about 10 days before my trip. I will actually print out the weather forecast or screenshot it on my phone and reference that as I'm actually putting together my packing guide. So it helps me figure out if I'm going to need jackets or sweaters, a lot of layering pieces, definitely if I'm going to need things that are appropriate for rain and things that are appropriate for warm weather, all of that fun stuff. And it makes it a lot easier. I think that by taking the time to figure out these 3 key steps, you can more easily pack. In my experience, when I don't do these things and I just go to my closet, I'm overwhelmed because I see all of my clothes and I see all of my favorite things and I want to bring all of those things. When if you really take the time to figure out these first couple steps, you realize that the weather, the location, and your activities won't accommodate most of your wardrobe. So it makes it a lot easier. So all of those steps really do help eliminate a lot of your wardrobe straight out the gate. So you're able to work with less in order to pull pieces to actually bring on your trip. But there's one final piece that I think really helps seal the deal, and that is to come up with a color palette for your trip. And this is going to be very much representative of where you're going, of course your preferences, and then the time of the year that you're traveling. So for me, I was going to a place that I knew was kind of formal, and I was traveling in early fall, so I knew the colors were going to be a little bit more muted, and I knew that I was able to wear a lot of the things that I already like to wear, but just bumped up a little. So my color palette stayed pretty much consistent with my existing color palette. So I brought black, a little bit of white and gray, a tiny bit of beige, and then blue. Now let's go over everything that I packed. So I brought along one long sleeve black t-shirt, one short sleeve black t-shirt that can also be worn off the shoulder, one long sleeve navy t-shirt, a gray and white striped short sleeve t-shirt, a vintage black silk shirt with a necktie, and a blue and white floral shirt. I also brought a pair of dark wash straight leg jeans, high-waisted slightly looser black pants, high-waisted straight leg black pants, faux leather leggings, and elastic waist black pants that I've had for so many years and I absolutely love for travel. They're very comfortable but just a little bit dressed up. I also brought along a blue and white floral dress, a black blazer, a beige blazer, and a beige and black cardigan. For shoes and accessories, I brought a dark brown, almost burgundy pair of lace-up ankle boots, cap-toe pumps, a blue crossbody purse, a black belt, a large printed scarf, a small printed scarf, black sunglasses, and a handful of jewelry. And then of course, I also brought along underwear, pajamas, and toiletries. And as you can see, everything fits very nicely into my carry-on suitcase and my personal bag. And the only other thing that I would maybe throw in is some entertainment. I like my Kindle. I can carry a lot of books on that and kind of hop around if I get bored. And then also maybe a magazine or two. And occasionally I'll throw in an extra pair of socks. Anything that I think of at the last moment. I like having a little extra space in my personal bag for any little doodads and snacks and things. Anything that I pick up in the airport or anything that as I'm running out the door the day of my trip, I'm like, oh man, I forgot that. I can just throw it in, easy peasy. And then of course, the other thing I will say specifically for international travel is to make sure you have the right adapters. They're very easy to find, but you have to prepare ahead of time because if you don't bring an adapter, they can be very difficult to track down depending on where you're actually visiting. So buy them ahead of time, don't forget them, and definitely throw them into your suitcase. So now I want to share the outfits that you can put together using this capsule. I've basically put together all of the outfits that I wore on my trip, so you have them all in one concise, neat place, and again, hopefully to serve as inspiration so you can see how this kind of translates into actual use. But if you want to see a very pretty lookbook and see my outfits in action, I was able to film a few of those while I was in France, so I'll link that here for you. And I hope that you enjoy, and please let me know if you use this method, if it helps, and if you like traveling light. I would love to hear from you. And as always, safe travels on every trip that you take, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Have a great day.